write about. Trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist. Am I worth anything or just discount? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
That was great sounds of Watts with Outside on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Preston, with my partner in crime, Long Island Raised, Elm City Made, Mr. EZ BlueZ. EZ BlueZ, you are always better with introductions more than me. Who do we have with us on the program today?
Purple room, purple room. Locked in a purple room we have right now with us someone who has been an integral part of the community itself. At the end of the day, I want you to understand what it is truly like to elevate, what it is truly like to take part of a community and go to the next level, what it is truly part to take a holistic aspect of growth and to grow with. One of the most incredible things out there. This man has gone from, well, if we're being honest, this man has gone from a lockup to owning a cafe. And for that and that alone, I want you to put your hands together. Not if you're driving. If you're driving, please keep your hands at 10 and 2 because we don't need any accidents. But mentally, I want you to put your hands together for the fantastic, the amazing, the supercalifragilisticexpialidocious Alexander Angeloff is here today. Welcome, benvenue.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Great to have you here. Great to have you here. So first and foremost, you know, you're in New Haven now with the Culture Cafe. Can you give a little bit of history of what it's like to be, you know, how you got into New Haven and what made you decide to do this cafe style? Because before you were, when we actually spoke before, you have the Remedy shop that we've actually been to, you know, where you deal with the CBD and those different type of aspects of it. Is this a continuation or is this a whole nother venture or experience?
Yeah, to me, it's really just the next evolution of what I've been doing. So in the 7 years that I've had the Remedy, and we're selling all these different natural health formulations, I was just seeing that people were really continually coming in for issues that related to the immune system, and all that traces back to the gut. And so there's all these chronic inflammatory autoimmune issues that people are coming in for. And I'd recommend to them, hey, you can eat in this way. You can do all these different things in order to help prevent and reduce the impact of these disease states. And people, of course, are saying, all right, thanks. And continuing on with their lives because it's kind of a big ask. It's ends up being a lot of work up front. A lot of people don't want to go to a farm, wait 30 days to eat their food after acquiring it from a farm. So it's just like layers of work that I thought that I could save them by just opening up my own place. And of course, selfishly, I want all this food for myself, and this is the way I eat. So I want infinite of it. I want to be able to go away and someone else look after my ferments, and these things were already taking over my whole apartment in a very dysfunctional way. So I was happy to export all of these vats and projects and funky things that were literally taking over my apartment.
He's dedicated, man.
Yeah, no, that is true dedication. And this is actually a dedication that has been for a while now. This has been part of the plan, part of the de-evolution, we'll say, or part of your evolution has been this constant challenging and looking at things and making them part of your existence and understanding that there is this holistic aspect when it comes down to health itself. And, you know, it's not just making sure that you're eating right, but making sure that you're thinking right and making sure that you're giving yourself the full healing aspects to grow and deal with body and self, which I think is awesome. And I want to give you your flowers for really pushing out in that type of business structure because we're in the late stages of capitalism, and it's, you know, it's completely a me generation, and you're sitting here going, no, this is for the better use and the all. Obviously, I have my selfish interest in it as well. You know, I want these foods, I love these foods. But it is also to make sure they have these benefits for others moving forward. How are you able to maintain that while dealing with the capitalistic nightmare that is today?
Yeah. It's It's tough. It's tough financially, you know. It's not the most profitable thing I've ever conceived of. All of our ingredients are the most expensive. You know, we're not using a $2 gallon of Hood milk or any milk that you can find at your grocery store. You know, our milk costs 11, $12 a gallon,
Right.
$6 for a half gallon or whatever. You know, orders of magnitude more expensive ingredients, and then we have to take the time to ferment it, and so there's a lot of process that goes into that. It's not a very simple thing, so there's a lot of training involved and educating, which I love and is a lot of fun, but of course is costly. So I guess I don't know any other way, so I just do everything the hard way from the get-go. So it's not like I have anything to compare it to in terms of like, oh, it'd be so easy if we just did it like, um, I don't know, whatever other kind of coffee shop or restaurant. But yeah, I mean, I definitely don't get to pay um, someone half of minimum wage. I pay, actual wage to my employees, and I also pay these farms, a good price for their real food ingredients. But we're helping people to slow down, if not ameliorate, their chronic disease, and that is just incredibly satisfying. Really nothing makes me happier than people coming in and just telling me about how great they felt after a meal or a product, or that their symptoms went away almost completely. And my goal is really to show that you can provide a real service that is not burying a bunch of hidden costs to the consumer or otherwise, and make that a profitable thing and exist. And here you are. We're coming up on 3 years this year, so it's really
Awesome.
exciting. And I think we're doing it. We're getting by, and we have some cool opportunities coming up that I'm hopefully going to be able to take advantage of. Potentially some grants and working with the city. So
Nice.
that'd be cool for expansion, or being able to increase our offerings as well.
You went to UConn?
I went to UConn, yeah, for
And
brief period.
no, I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome. Yeah, I'm like I'm looking back at some of the stuff, just about you. And what was the most parts you learned from UConn that you use now within your business?
So UConn really helped me to rekindle my entrepreneurial spirit, I would
Hmm.
say, more than anything.
Right.
When I was going to UConn, I was spending, I'd say, more time growing my MDMA and LSD peddling side business than I was really hitting the books with environmental science. And I think that that really served me in terms of reminding me how potentially realistic it is to take a small idea or a passion and grow that kind of from the ground up. And while I was doing that, I was really using some of those funds to um, create new
Hmm.
formulas kind of in the same way I am now, study aids for people, and really kind of follow my passions and dive into research that I always kind of was most passionate about, which is the biomechanics, kinetics, and overall biochemistry of pharmacopoeia, different compounds, how they engage with the body, how those mechanisms um, experientially affect one's real human experience. And I think that really came to be my strong suit, where I've tried almost everything under the sun, wide variety of different pharmaceuticals growing up,
Right.
from my psych nurse mom and doctors, etc. And then, you know, pretty much every recreational substance out there. And at this point, almost every different amino acid, botanical extract, anything you think of. So I have that personal experience that I think really grounds this conceptual, mechanistic understanding that kind of the greater scientific literature holds as their way of defining these things,
Mm-hmm.
and then creates a more tangible application and a more tangible understanding of those mechanisms by having that experience. And that's kind of where my specialty is kind of really being where the rubber hits the road there with first principles.
When people first walk into your store, what is the biggest misconception?
I guess with the cafe,
Mm.
is that we're a cafe. And
I mean, it's in the title.
Yeah, because you're
Yeah.
helping people, like you're helping people, and you want to make sure people have a good, foundation for themselves, and you want to make sure people have good gut health. You want to make sure people, are living just a proper way. And a lot of people may say maybe it's just money, maybe it's just hard starting out. I think the best way to do it is just do it, just start it, and just see how it works with you. It's different for everybody.
Yeah, I think you really have to just try things and see, what your body appreciates and what it doesn't. And I guess to answer your question,
Yeah.
more thorough way is that I think, people come in, they just think, oh, this is a cafe. Let me get grande. Didn't, it was close. Let me get that grande macchiato,
Right.
whatever, with 10 pumps of glucose syrup or whatever. And it's like, on the brakes. This is not what we're about. Like, we're gonna discourage you. Use a sweetener. If anything, we have like a lot of really great alternative sweeteners that most places don't utilize,
Hmm.
and we have a bunch of things that are going to actually give you energy. Not, I mean, outside of caffeine, that are going to make your brain work better. So we're happy to recommend a variety of things that I think are going to serve the same purpose that people look for in coffee or in the things that they get at a cafe, but a lot more effectively without any downside, and that are actually going to augment your long-term health.
Hmm. Ease, I see your finger up. Go ahead, man.
Oh, I'm enjoying this conversation because I love this kind of stuff. There's been dinners that we've actually been to together, Alex, where we were sitting and having vitamin people tell us, these incredible situations with all this different stuff moving forward, and you were there and you're asking these really important questions, about the actual fermentation process. How important is that to what you do?
Yeah, fermentation is quite central to the cafe. It's kind of theme, cultured cafe. Cultured
Mhm.
is another way of referring to fermentation. And so we brew kombucha, make yogurt, milk kefir, water kefir. All of these things are where probiotics are generated and how people have been preserving food for tens of thousands of years, and also how they've been augmenting the biodiversity of their guts. And downstream of that is going to be the immunomodulation that I was referring to kind of at the onset of this discussion, which means
Hmm.
reducing the inflammatory response of your immune system to only what is totally necessary to do a job well, and not what we call chronic inflammation, or these kind of cytokine storms that we talked about during COVID, which are just massive amounts of inflammation that are doing harm to the body, or that aren't acute, so that persist over a long term and um, cause a lot of problems throughout the body. So nourishing your gut is not only going to help with digestion, it's also going to help with your healing, with the response of your immune system to any sort of stressor. So that is the main focus of the cafe, and the thing that really makes us stand out among all health cafes and um, all places you can eat in general, outside of the fact that, of course, we also get all of our ingredients from local farms, the highest quality, to a standard and degree, which you really can't find anywhere else, whether it is ultra fine dining, farm table restaurant, or some other trendy kind of health food spot.
I think we're playing Russian roulette when it comes to not Russian roulette, but double Dutch when it comes to saying this and the question easy. But what are the top foods to are best for gut health, Alex?
Top foods that are best for gut health, man. So it's always going to be variety. Like all things, variety is the spice of life, and variety, I think, is the key to gut health.
Hmm.
Um, because the more that you're getting in, um, the more variety of different microbiota in your gut you're going to be nourishing. But you definitely want to get your fermented foods, like things that I just listed off, kefir, kombucha, water kefir, yogurt. And then you're also going to want your prebiotics, so that's the fuel for those probiotics. So that is going to be things like fiber, which everyone knows about and talks about. Um, but it's also going to be things like your antioxidant pigments, so your anthocyanins, those are the purples that are in everything from red cabbage to blueberries. Um, you're going to want your reds. Uh, um, those are going to help you produce then postbiotics, which are things like urolithin A, things like your butyrate, which will also come from like ghee, another great thing for your gut as well. So kind of a few different categories of different things. You got the prebiotics, the fuel, and then you got the things that nourish the gut lining. It's gonna be like your bone broth,
Hmm.
for the glycine, your glutamine, which you also can get from bone broth, eggs, anything slimy,
Hmm.
pectin, slippery elm, um, marshmallow, demulcents, all of these slippery things are going to
Okay.
help line your gut. So the probiotics want a slimy media to live
Hmm.
in. So then you have to make a home for them. You have to put them in that home, and then you have to feed them. So what do you know? We're back to our social issues today. It's the same in the micro as it is in the macro.
And the macro. No, I think that's so incredible because one, you know, it is parallel. It is the same journey in which we are speaking of, and two, there's so many different layers when it comes down to it, and a lot of people don't really understand. A lot of people think they're living 100% healthy when they're really not. And they live under those different type of guises. What do you suggest as the person that walks in, say, who's just about to start their journey? This is their first kickoff. They're walking into the cultured cafe. What is your suggestion for their first toe dip?
I mean, really, get anything. The cafe is really meant to be a place where you can order anything. You feel good about it. There's no pitfalls. It's not like we've got the healthy things for the hardcore people, and then we've got the trappings for everyone else. I've really tried to stay out of that because I hate that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd say definitely, get a smoothie. You're gonna get multiple different probiotics in a smoothie. Get a kombucha, but to start, I'd say find what you like, try a few different things, and whatever it is that you like, whether it's yogurt, whether it's kombucha, whether it's fermented vegetables, um, whatever it is that you like and you're going to stick to and you're going to use on a regular basis, because it does really need to be a daily habit or, 3 or 4 times a week. And then even and then while you're doing that, because actually it's been found that like lactobacillus in yogurt helps to sequester microplastics and BPA, which is a huge problem. I think another thing for people kind of just starting a health journey is you want to get the junk out of your life. That's number one. People come in all the time and say, I'm trying to detox. How do I detox? Well, like I said, the lactobacillus can really help with that. But step one is to stop toxing in the first place. You know, you dumping Niagara Falls into this bucket and you got a tiny spout on the other side. That little spout's not going to be doing too much for you. You need to cut that flow off. In order to do that, you need to really be able to think about what is going into your food. So obviously, it's real simple to just say don't eat any processed foods. Processed foods are all garbage. You're finding a ton of heavy metals in all this processed food. There's a bunch of pesticides and things that destroy your gut and your microbiome and your digestion.
Right.
Um, and then, but even around the perimeter of the grocery store, there's a ton of pitfalls, which is, maybe not your day one concern. All right. Maybe you start off by just getting rid of those processed foods would be good, but you want to be thinking about eating your produce sprayed with glyphosate. Is the meat that you're eating being fed a bunch of things that are not aligned with its evolutionary intent and causing it to be in a disease state? Are those things full of a bunch of heavy metals and pesticides that your animals are eating literal tons of and then aggregating? Is the packaging that your stuff coming in
True.
leaching a bunch of plastics into it and things like that? So you can really there's a lot of layers to it, and understanding where your food comes from is super important. Outside of the fact that if your spinach has been sitting on the shelf for a week or two, it's got no vitamin C left. You know,
Right.
um, so people like you said, people can really think that they're doing the right thing and be trying pretty hard and putting a lot of effort into it, but because our food systems are so messed up.
And I'm not putting enough effort saying the tag. WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven, myself, Preston, and Mr. EZ Blues. Alex, my apologies, man. Go right ahead, brother.
No worries. Yeah, you're putting a lot of effort in and made a lot of headway, but actually um, be treading water more than one realizes.
Right.
And so I think, eating for nutrient density is a really good thing to keep in mind. Things that have more micronutrients has been something that I set my true north to a long time ago. But then
Hmm.
more recently, especially when I'm dealing with some of my own illnesses and or symptoms cropping up, really, really getting down in the details of where my food is coming from and how it's being raised, which has led me to largely buy my food from the farmer's market or from local farms almost entirely.
Your thoughts, easy.
No, it's super interesting because we are programmed a certain type of way, and it is, and as things go faster and move quicker, and social media sits there and gives us more of that instant gratification. It's harder and harder to understand that to eat healthy also means to chew your food a certain amount of times before you swallow it, using your back teeth to make sure that you're grinding it down correctly instead of just ripping and tearing. There's so much more that we need to understand. Breathing, our breathing itself, making sure that we're breathing in through our nose and out through our mouth, just to make sure that we're getting all the dust and particles in our nostril hairs before they reach the rest of our body. These are all different type of things where you slow down your life. You can understand that these things are super effective, but we're in such a society that speeds it up. I wonder how you're able to stand. How are you able to exist in your existence here when the rest of the world is telling us we need it now when we need it quick?
Yeah, yeah. And to be fair, with that grant that I'm going for, I'm trying to make it so that we do serve food quicker at the cafe to keep up with some of that demand and expectation, because I do think some people are frustrated by having to wait. That's not what you meant, but that is one aspect of that that I do think about and that I am trying to improve on, because I do think it's not people's fault exactly that they are kind of stuck on this treadmill, hamster wheel, if you will, of needing so fast. I think it is a byproduct of expenses being so staggeringly inflated while people's wages are not really increasing at all. So
Yeah.
when you need more money to survive, then you have less time. And when you have less time, you basically just need to like buy all your stuff on Amazon or wherever it's going to come the fastest, and Uber Eats all your stuff because you don't have time to kind of live the slow life and do the things that you want to do. So it is an unfortunate self-perpetuating cycle, and it's hard to get off of. You really need to buck everything you've been taught and everything that you think you know, set it all aside, and hopefully kind of get out of that excited nervous system panic, and give yourself some space, because all those things also affect your health very negatively. Always rushing, always freaking out, always being in fight or flight is extremely harmful to the immune systems and the nervous system and your body overall. So creating a life however you can where you've got just a little bit of space, and then also knowing that your health really is all you have. And people that have suffered from serious illnesses really come to appreciate that. But people who um who haven't had any health issues so far, they take it for granted often. And it's unfortunate because you're really pushing yourself onto the back burner, and living in a way that we have been sort of compelled to do, really pushes people into that disease state very efficiently. And I think there's a lot of market forces that um, feed off of that and that benefit from that process. No one's, well, I mean, a job, someone being able to work a job effectively without being stifled by illness is contributing to the economy, but there's a different sort of money being made from people not being able to work so much, and having the expenses that a disease necessitates, unfortunately.
For the next let's go 5 years into the future. Just with everything, just with online, with great people like yourself, do you think the information on gut health and avoiding these certain kind of diseases will be in a better place? Did you hear me?
Yeah, totally, totally.
Okay, okay, yeah, definitely.
I'm
Sorry,
sorry.
sorry, sorry,
I'm
sorry.
It
sorry.
was it was it was a long pause because it's an
Yeah,
important answer.
I got you. I
Um,
understand, understand. Listen. I had technology anxiety. My bad, brother.
no, no worries. I think the information's always been there,
Yeah.
I think if anything, we've moved away from that information. I'm reading a book right now that I love very much called Nutrition and Physical Degeneration by
Mm.
Weston A. Price, which I recommend anybody even beginning a health journey. This is very eye-opening. But this is back in 1920, and he was examining how people who ate the um, for lack of better phrasing, I guess, imported white man's food, um, which essentially is how our, what has become our society had traded with indigenous people all over the world. It was like white flour, white sugar, jams, and canned vegetables. And that's what we would trade them for their goods. And the offspring of these people immediately, their arches collapsed, their jaws were smaller, they didn't have enough space for their wisdom teeth. They started getting tuberculosis, they had all these diseases. So the diseases that we're dealing with right now are things that these ancient cultures didn't deal with before and are self-imposed. So if anything, we move away from the solutions that were passed down for thousands of generations, for tens of thousands of years, and have created this problem for ourselves. And so I think the information is out there if people want to find it. It's been out there and it's still out there. I think the internet continues to get more noisy and
Hmm.
there's more variety of opinions and there's more information and there's studies that go this way and that go that way and they point to, you should only eat whatever asparagus for the rest of your life, or why this imported berry from across the world is going to save you, or whatever. But when you look back, there's people that were living off of the food that grew beneath their feet for their
Mm-hmm.
entire lives, and they were
Right.
perfect, and they were physically beautiful, and they were extremely strong. Their bones were strong. They had great symmetry, and they didn't get these chronic diseases. They got infections, and they died young from those
Yeah.
infections. Like, it's not to discard all modern medicine as being silly and stupid and useless, but some of it is, and some of it is doing more harm than good. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the way that we live our lives and then we get our food is doing more harm than good. And these were things that were readily identifiable back in the 1920s. But now, because of globalization and because this has been spread across the world, it's harder to find these signals because now you go to a third world country, you go somewhere where normally there would be an ancestral lineage and culture, but now they're eating all of our super cheap food and they're selling their food into our system because they can get a better price for it. And they have the worst teeth of anyone and their health is all messed up. And we have them to point to and say, hey, look, there's a starving child in Africa. And they might not have the same digestive diseases as we do, but their teeth
Hmm.
aren't looking that good because they're not eating in the ancestral way that they used to, but they don't have enough money to go to a dentist, or
Gotcha.
maybe there aren't dentists around. So it's very complicated,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a lot of factors.
Nah, there's a lot of layers to it. It's so many, especially just when it comes to this subject. But just moving on to a lighter manner. Tell me about the promotion and everything with Sasquatch, man. How'd you get linked up with him?
Oh, there's some friends of ours.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've known, yeah, I've known him for a while now, and
Okay.
contacted me to do a shoot at the cafe um, with the Sasquatch, and yeah, I'm always down for some kooky stuff. We were closed that
Nice.
day. I had them come down, and we just set up and let what happened happen. So we got some silly pictures out of it, and it was a great time.
That's cool. That's cool, bro. Is the same mascot that goes around New Haven every now and then, like throughout the night or throughout the day, just like pokes up on people sometimes.
That's right. That's right.
That's cool. That's mad cool, bro. That is.
Yeah.
Um, anything within the future coming up as we got about like 10 minutes left of this interview, but like anything coming up like promotion wise, any events you have there, just like to talk about your product and anything good going on at the Remedy Cafe. Go
Yeah,
ahead, man.
totally.
Yeah.
So all month this month we have some Valentine's Day specials. We got
Awesome.
really good heart stew. We have a handful of different date-based desserts, some healthy, guilt-free desserts that we have for you as well for Valentine's Day. We are going to have a few different events going up, all about how to manage and reduce one's anxiety. We'll have another talk on sleep coming up.
Okay.
That one was very popular. People were really into it. Um, and I guess on the lighter side, we have a bunch of stuff that makes you feel good, not only from good nutrition, but we have a lot of different euphoric elixirs, with a lot of different botanical extracts that get you feeling good as well. So people who are trying to stay away from alcohol, people who are looking for a different sort of social scene, but still looking to kind of kick back after a long day of work. We've got you covered. There's some really novel things in that regard that you can't get anywhere else. And we would love for you to try it. We have a bunch of people that are regulars and super psyched about those offerings. So check
Okay.
out our euphoric elixir menu when you come by, and get them infused into a smoothie. So you're getting the gut health aspect too. You get your gut right and you get your mind right at the same time. It's always at the same time. So they go hand in hand. The gut through your brain, not the other way around.
What kind of desserts we talking about for Valentine's Day? Well, no, it's already passed, but like, what were you providing?
Oh yeah, we have the specials all month. So we have got some date truffles.
Okay.
We've got some really good almond date cookies. Um, we just did some coffee cacao nib cookies. And a lot of these as well, we use like xylitol, stevia, things that aren't going to spike your blood glucose, things that are actually going to feed the good bacteria in your gut, uh, um, rather than the bad yeast in your gut, like a lot of these sugars are. Uh,
Yeah.
Things that we use to sweeten are actually going to improve your gut microbiome at the same time as making our dessert sweet.
Mm. Now you were talking about sleep, like having people manage their sleep. Now, is it going to be like a little like talk about insomnia, just like working on issues of that nature?
For sure. So it's a talk that involves lifestyle changes,
Okay.
habits, different supplements that you can take, some products that we offer, you know, full gamut of different protocols that you can utilize to get to sleep when you want to get to sleep, to wake up feeling
Gotcha.
good, to get the sleep quality that you want. And that's really our focus, you know, sleep, anxiety, pain, inflammation, a lot of the top issues and things that people are dealing with today. We have some great solutions for, and we can walk you through. We actually have a three ring binder now at the cafe that has got a one pager on different lifestyle
Hmm.
interventions that you can use for each of those symptoms, and then a cohort of different products that we offer, their ingredients, why we chose those ingredients, why those ingredients are good. And, you know, even if you don't want to use our products, you can go and acquire any one of those ingredients for yourself and apply them in your own life if you don't want to patronize at all. You just want to help.
Easy. I think I see a light bulb above your head. Go right ahead, brother.
You know how much I love these conversations. These are actually fantastic. I love anyone that's gonna give a little bit more enlightenment, especially on the outside aspects of things. So one, thank you for being here and for being so upfront with everything about that. I want to give you some flowers for that right now. And two, what made you make that first step? Because you've gone and you've obviously hit this point where you've hit this incredible evolution. Um, but there's a lot of people that are on the start of that journey. And maybe if they can relate to your first step, then they can actually make that first step themselves.
Yeah, for sure. For me, it was just going to the gym, just being active, and and also chasing what feels good. Like these things, like it's not like a sacrifice. You don't have to go, you know, eat a salad or whatever, or eat some concoction that tastes terrible and that you're gagging down. Although that is a big part of my journey as well. Is a lot of that, but um, a lot of it is just listening to your body, sitting with your body, seeing what feels good, leaning into what feels good. Everyone loves sitting in the sun. Go get some sunlight first thing in the morning. See the sunrise. Everybody likes seeing a sunrise. Everybody likes seeing a sunset. You know, listen to your body when you eat. How does your body feel after you eat? And then chase the things that make you feel good after. So some of it is in a little bit of delayed gratification, but a lot of it is just in listening to your body, taking that feedback, and running with that. And so, like, I think the same reasons that people take MDMA or whatever is really like the same motivation one should have in feeling healthy. I think, you know, obviously everybody loves, you know, some French fries or whatever. And that stuff is immediately gratifying and the texture is really good. But I don't think you have to sacrifice. Like there's plenty of things that can hit all of those spots in the short term and make you feel good in the long term and are not going to give you the same amount of aldehydes as a pack of cigarettes. As they say, that one serving of French fries fried in the seed oils that they almost always use gives you. So arm yourself with that knowledge, but also just listening to your body and letting that guide.
Awesome. Appreciate that.
Appreciate everyone here, man. On WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven, myself, Preston, and my partner in crime with the nice trim beard, Mr. EZ BlueZ. We got Alex with us. Alex, we only got so much left in this broadcast. Great to hear all this quality information. Just give somebody any great advice who wants to go to a similar entrepreneur path as you. And lastly, we want everyone just to plug themselves. You can just reintroduce the events and stuff you're having throughout this coming year, throughout this coming month. And definitely just plug your social media, man. This last amount of time is just for you. So go right ahead.
Totally. So for entrepreneurs, get out there and just do it. Just start, just get it going, get some momentum, experiment, get out there. And you can find me at Cultured Cafe CT on Instagram. You can find all of my products on theremedycares.com. The cafe's website is cultured.cafe. My personal Instagram is Alexander the Angeloff. And I'm throwing up information all the time, things we're doing at the cafe, events all the time on the website and the Instagram, and always putting out health information and knowledge. I just dropped a post about this very talk on my Instagram right before coming on.
Thank you.
Happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me, guys. It's been a lot of fun.
Definitely, man. Definitely. Myself, Preston, EZ BlueZ on the microphone. Appreciate you, buddy. Alex, thank you so much on WNHH LP 103.5 FM, New Haven.
Wondering what to write about, trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist, am I worth anything or just discount? I don't